Okay, grade sixes. Today we're looking at how to round decimals, and I know what you're going to say to me. You're going to say, "But I know how to do this already." Okay, then you probably do, but to understand why we do it and how we do it is more important than being able to actually pull it off just because you can do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend just a little while going over it, and then I'm going to pass you on to some work that will allow you to practice it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, to look at how to round off a decimal, I'm going to use something that you've got. Every single one of you has one of these. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the human ear. And the reason I'm using this is because the human ear has some really small parts of it. Okay, now first of all, there's the ear canal. Okay, and you've got things around here that to provide you with your ear wax that prevent things from coming in. You'll have little hairs in there as well. There's the skull. Okay, as it goes into your head. There's your eardrum. These things back here are the things that help you with your balance. There's a little air bubble in here that moves back and forth and determines exactly where your head is at and the rest of your body is. But the one thing I want you to think about is this little piece of bone. It's the smallest piece of bone in your entire body, and it's called the stapes, and it's located right here. Now what the stapes does is as sound hits your eardrum, it vibrates, and the stapes sends it along to your auditory nerve. Okay, the stapes is only 2.84 millimeters long. Okay, so we're not talking about something that's big. In fact, we're talking about something that's really small. But that's what gives you the ability to hear. If we were if you were asked to round that off, okay, let's say you needed to round it off to the nearest tenth of a millimeter. Okay, so if you'd have 2 here, 2.1, that didn't come out, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and so on. Okay, somewhere around here, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, and 3. Okay, now we can say pretty clearly that we know what 2.84 millimeters is. I mean, you've seen it on a ruler. Okay, but we also know, if you think about this, that somewhere between, I'm going to change the color of the pen here to a red pen, that 2.84 is between 2 and 3, but it's a little closer to 3, isn't it? Okay, so 2.84 millimeters rounded off to the next millimeter, because here's where 2.84 would be, somewhere around here, right? Well, if we were to round it off to the nearest millimeter, we'd have to say it's 3. Okay, so 2.84 is between 2.8 and 2.9, but it's closer to 2.8. So if we wanted to go to the nearest tenth of a millimeter, it's 2.8. Okay, it changes depending on what you're going to be working at. It changes depending on what you're rounding it to. So closest to the nearest millimeter, so it's 3. Closest to the nearest tenth of a millimeter, it's 2.8, right at 2.4. Okay, let's go back and look at something else here too. The smallest muscle in the human body is the stapedius. Okay, it's the muscle that controls the stapes, so it's in here. Okay, it's so small that they don't include it here. All right, the stapedius is really small. Okay, the stapedius is actually 0.125 centimeters long. Oh, hang on a second. We've moved just a little bit. Okay, well, let's see how that works. If we go back up here and we start erasing some of the information we've got. Okay, so let's go to the eraser, and we'll take out this. We'll take out all the numbers. And instead of, let's go back to pens. Instead of starting at 0, we start at 0, or starting at 2, we start at 0, and it's 0.1, and 0.2, and 0.1. 0.125 is going to be, and we'll change the color pen here, 0.125 is going to be about here. Would you agree? it's between 0 and 1, but it's closer to 0. If we look at it, if we round it off to the nearest centimeter, it's closer to 0. But if we round it to the closest tenth of a centimeter, it's closer to 1. See what I'm getting at? So depending on how you're going to round something, it shows where it's going to be. So if I were to go to the nearest tenth of a centimeter, it's going to be 0.1. If I was going to round it off to the nearest centimeter, it's going to be 0. Okay? And that's the kind of thing that you're going to have to make distinctions of in tonight's homework. All right? So give it a shot. See how it works out. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning during class. Hey, good luck, guys.